All right, we're live. Welcome everyone. Naveed Jamali here. I'm really excited to be joined today by Ashlee Sullivan. First and foremost, she's a military spouse. She's also the CEO of Women in Warrior, a clothing company focusing on the military family. She's not just a CEO and the spouse of an active duty soldier. She's also the mom of 4 kids, which I think honestly deserves a medal. Like that's probably what you should open with. We were just joking before that she is one of the 2 funny Ashleys who are military spouses. What did you say? It's average
Oh,
humor.
I'm averagely funny.
Yeah. Averagely funny. So
very averagely funny.
So if you're gonna rate, like it's like, like spicy peppers, it's like when you think about military spouses, are you 1 Ashlee or 2 Ashleys? There you go, in terms of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bar. Ashlee, really excited to have you here. And of course, today is was it National Spouse Appreciation Day? Is that
Military Spouse Appreciation
Military
Day.
Spouse Appreciation Day. So let me ask you the big burning question as a journalist. Why should we appreciate military spouses?
Because we're the invisible, silent ranks. We are everything that happens behind the scenes to ensure our service member is mentally ready to fulfill their mission.
I mean, yeah, it's a perfect answer. I mean, so I think that, a lot of people, all BS and joking aside, I think a lot of people see soldiers, sailors, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, airmen, guardians, and they see the uniform, they see marching, they see the equipment, but I don't think they necessarily, well, you said the invisible, they don't see the family behind that service member. And so first, let me just start by saying thank you. As a veteran, I know how important the military spouse community is. It is all joking. It is an incredibly important mission. You all have one of the hardest jobs in the world. It is a job. And I think that, let's start with just for someone who has no idea what it is to be a military spouse, how many times have you had to move or PCS for your...
Right now, 7.
See, that's crazy. And it's not, it's
7 since 2021. Do the math.
So I just want people to understand, maybe who don't have any connections to the military. We're 2025 here. So that's 7 times in 4 years I'm not really good at math, and I know we were joking before the show, there'd be no math on this show, but that's 7 times in 4 years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Look, can you just explain to people, I mean, in the civilian world, you move once or twice in your entire lifetime, right? Once you're married with kids. Can you explain, that is unique. What are the challenges of moving that much? What does it put on a spouse?
It's a lot of math. No, but it's like emotional roller coaster that you can't get off of. And it requires just a lot of mental gymnastics. I make a joke a lot that it is you're as a military spouse or a military family, we're in a perpetual state of emotional whiplash. So you have to think like you said, a civilian person would maybe move, I don't know, just a few times through their entire life. But the fact is that not only do we move sometimes multiple times a year and have to uproot our entire lives, sometimes that includes children, many children like myself, and that comes with its own challenges. But we're moving. I mean, there was one year where we lived in 4 different states in 1 year. It's it's incredibly challenging. And when I say invisible rank, that's kind of a joke. Obviously, we wear no rank. We're not employed by the military. But a lot of what we go through is in fact invisible to everybody but us.
Yeah.
We really need each other and rely on each other.
I mean, you have 4 kids, just changing schools. I mean, that is, for any child, that's just, I mean, we moved once, a couple of times. And I mean, just most recently, just changing schools for my kids was hard in of itself. Doing that for 4 kids, multiple times in a year.
And all kids are different. And actually every kid at different stages of their life handle it very differently. My
Yeah.
daughter is in high school now, and she's like cool with it. She's like, whatever, I'm ready for new people. But our younger sons, they're definitely having a time. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of separation anxiety. There's a lot of, you know, just anxiety in general, I think, of what's to come and what they're leaving behind,
Sure.
and that load for the spouse left behind, like it's heavy. It's very heavy.
Yeah. I mean, and for spouses, things like jobs. I mean, you
I know.
know, how do you balance that? What, because I think that one of the biggest challenges for military spouses, I think, is finding. It's not finding work. It's that if your spouse has to move or PCS,
Mhm.
retaining a job is really challenging. And what do you do for career and all that?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually that's a massive, like, crisis level issue in our community. We've got, but gosh, we have some really creative spouses out there. They're pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and being like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna create something
Yeah,
that can move with me, to work from home." A lot of spouses are looking for remote work. But for the ones that don't have that option, or are passionate about their career, I mean, it is a difficult thing to uproot and have to plug in and, be hired again. Let's take nurses, teachers, like, just offhand. Um, but gosh, do they find a way to do it? That's what I
for
think is
sure.
just so honestly amazing. They're just like, Okay, well, these are the constraints that life has given me through this military life." And they're like, "Well, I'm going to work within it, and I'm going to find a way."
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there's a level of resiliency, right? You have to be,
mhm.
but I mean, again, I think that um, being a military spouse really means that you're committed to your spouse's career, to their, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, orders are orders, right? They're not requests. So,
No, no, they're not.
I mean, that's what are like if you had to break it down, what are some of the biggest challenges that face the military spouse community, but also the military family?
Definitely the frequent moves, employment, deployments.
Yeah,
Deployments are very, I mean, that's probably the one that is hard to, explain, or not necessarily explain, but for the civilian world to really, like, understand, like, the absolutely earth-shattering experience that is. Like, you're taking a family that's whole, and you're essentially just breaking that foundation for a time. And we just have to find ways to bridge that gap of relationship, communication. Of course, not every military family has kids, but to, help them feel connected still. And I would say those are probably, I think I listed three. Those are our top three
yeah,
for sure.
that's a lot, and,
Mhm.
and they're, I mean, um, to be honest, it's something that's pretty. I mean, would you agree that it's pretty unique to the military spouse community? It's not something that you find another, you know, you're not going to be married to a banker at Citibank and have to worry about deployments or moving like that, right?
Right. Of course, you have people, that are, they'll go on work trips and stuff like that. But
Sure.
this type of a deployment is just, you're on the other side of the world, different time zones for, I mean, like, they'll tell you, like, "Oh, it's just gonna be 9 months." And then they go, "Bam, here's your extension. You're actually gonna be here for an unspecified amount of time." Like,
Yeah.
question mark, when are you coming home? Or, I mean, I think you said you were Navy, right?
Yeah.
Underways, like,
Yeah.
families that literally cannot even communicate with their spouse. What if there's an emergency back home? Like, we deal with it is just absolutely insane. It
Yeah.
really is.
I mean, I think I remember my wife, but like I'm sure you have stories too of, it's like had to evacuate for a hurricane. I wasn't here with two young kids. I mean, it's just the list goes on, right? So things that you
Mhm.
have to do, you essentially kind of become a single parent, right?
So I think our community really tries to call it, like, solo. Like,
Yeah.
we're flying
Solo guy.
solo, because of course we have gold star families,
Yeah.
who
Sure.
spouses who have lost their
Yeah.
their person, and they are single parenting.
Yeah.
So yeah, we try to focus on that. That's the term,
So
solo
so
parenting.
that's
So
thank you. That's a very
yeah,
actually important distinction. But
yeah,
nonetheless, you're taking what was a two-person job and
yes.
you're having it, right?
It's a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, like, it is a lot to fly solo for that long
yeah,
because, how do you take care of yourself during that time? And that's the crazy thing is, you're wanting to give your all and emotionally, support your children, but you really do have to find a way to put your oxygen mask on first
yeah,
before you can help them. And that is very challenging too. I guess I should add a fourth challenge is definitely mental health. It's also mental health awareness
yeah.
month this month, but I know that yeah, it can do a number on your mental health, this
I can.
lifestyle. So
I mean, listen, just being a parent in general, right,
yes,
is a challenge, especially with four, and you have three boys, one girl. Is that right?
yeah,
And
it is
there are
wild.
one your daughter is in high school, but the other three are
Mhm.
they're what are they under 13, right?
They're 9, 8, and 5. It's like
Jeez.
the Bash Brothers,
Yeah.
like kind of like
um,
wear all the hats.
um, yeah. So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Is there anything? Okay, so obviously we've talked about the challenges, but it
Yeah,
also is a community, right? I mean, talk.
unmatched,
Can you talk?
unmatched.
Yeah. So talk to me about that community because I don't want to make it seem like it's hard. But I
Right.
think you're proud of what you do and you have a support structure. So talk to me about
Mhm.
that support structure.
Yeah. No, really, the military spouse community is absolutely unmatched. If you need someone to show up for you, you don't even need to ask. Like you'll have 10 people ready to bring you food, pick up your kids, be your emergency contact. There's a running joke where, you move into your house and you walk over, knock on the door and be like, "Hi, I'm so and so, nice to meet you. Can you be my emergency contact?" It's like speed dating.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, I think get it, and I think like there are seasons of course of loneliness, like where again you're constantly moving or going through literal seasons where you're away from your spouse. But I that is just we're not alone. We're all connected. I guess if you want to joke about it through our like collective trauma, but
yeah.
like
But that's
trauma
military
trauma
service.
yeah,
Yeah.
the trauma bond is real and it's not just the service members.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
promise. But yeah, they're just they're just the best community ever. That's what keeps me going.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a really important thing. I mean, um, it is amazing what the military spouse, military family community can do. Um, just for also for a lot of people who have no connection, who maybe watch this don't have a connection to the military, it's also
Mhm.
important to understand that a lot of times you're living on a base. You're in what we joke is like the most well guarded gated community in the world.
Yep.
Can you talk for someone who maybe doesn't know what base life is like? Can you talk a little bit about what that is? Can you explain a little
Yeah.
bit?
So, well, you kinda hit the nail on the head. It's like a really big gated community, but, like, it's just kinda scary going through the guard gate sometimes. You get used to it, but you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, hi, like, I promise I'm who I say I am." Um, but honestly, it's like its own it's kinda cool. I prefer living on base or on post in the Army community call it on post, but, it's like its own little civilization. Like, if you didn't
Yeah.
have to leave, you would not have to leave. Um, some of the neighborhoods kinda just look like the little, like, Stepford Wife, like, cookie cutter, everything looks the same, you know?
Yeah.
We've got our own grocery stores, we've got I mean, but it does help you feel connected. I will
Yeah.
say we lived on post during my husband's first, deployment, and I couldn't have been more grateful because honestly, just, like, seeing people in uniform walking past me or whatever just helped me feel safer, connected, like, "Okay, like, people here get it."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad living on post, it's really not.
No. And again, like you said, it's everyone is sort of in the same position, right? In
Boat.
that regard,
Yeah.
right? So they get it.
Mhm.
How many bases have you lived on in total?
So we've lived on 2, but we have been stationed near 1, 2, 3, about to be 4.
4. Okay.
So, yeah.
So I have to ask, do you have a favorite or favorite and least favorite?
Okay, so I have a favorite, and anybody who is military connected right here are gonna be like, "Yeah, okay." Um, but I love Fort Riley. Like, and I'm telling you, like, there are memes because of Fort Riley. Don't drag me
That's
with the Fort
Kansas,
Riley
right?
spouses. Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's, it's, I'm not gonna lie, when I found out we were moving to Kansas, I was like, what is in Kansas?
Yeah.
Like, where are you taking me?
Fort
We also
Riley. That's
deployed
pretty much
we
it. No,
also
just
deployed 3 much yeah, exactly. No, it's not that bad, but
no.
that's what I thought. Actually, they make shirts that say it's not that bad. They do. Like,
To make sure if your
they
bumper
do.
sticker, it's not that bad. It's that bad.
Not Kansas, it's not that
It's
bad. It's really not that bad, but,
what did you like? I mean, listen, I've been to a bunch of bases in the Midwest. Whiteman Air Force Base for one, which is I'm wearing the B-21. But I actually really like the Midwest in terms of I think it's a lot of space. Kansas City is there. I mean,
yep.
but what was it about Fort Riley that like made it your favorite?
Overall, it was the community,
Yeah.
honestly. I
Okay,
don't
but
know if it's yeah.
what about the community? Like, what specifically was it?
I mean, it was just I think honestly, it's a very high op tempo location. So units brigades are constantly going on rotation. So the community like almost I guess you could say has no choice but to band together and support each other. But like truly that was definitely my top reason for loving Fort Riley was because the community was so tight knit. Um and it was a beautiful base. I mean, it's the Midwest, is
Yeah,
rolling
for
plains
sure.
on your base. So,
So, was there a least favorite?
mm, oh, well, no, but I no, but I do have some fears sometimes that we'll be stationed at Fort Polk. I hear they call it the armpit of the army. That doesn't sound
Louisiana is I've been there.
swampy.
It is very yeah, when you're so it's funny. So like Alaska and
Yeah,
Louisiana, the thing they share in common is that they have like wild wildlife. I mean, one is like
yeah,
alligators and crocodiles, the other has like no joke bears. Like people die on
right.
base
Moose in
with
your
bears.
backyard.
Yeah, and moose, yeah. And
Yeah,
moose are like freaking dangerous. They're basically like
right.
jeeps with swords on their head.
Yeah.
Um but like the natural beauty is
Mhm.
unbelievable. Louisiana gets super super hot. Obviously,
Yeah,
so I mean, but like you joke about that, but you don't know where you're gonna end up next, right?
right.
Nothing is
Well, real
permanent.
right, and I mean, every location is gonna have its positives and negatives, but
Sure.
truly, I think, you will find, like, most military families are have that mentality of, we're gonna be sent where we're gonna be sent, and we're gonna
Yeah.
make the best of it, and there's also a reason why we're there,
Yeah,
like, whether it's the people you're gonna
for
meet,
sure.
whatever, there's a purpose everywhere the military sends you, I believe. So, there's always a
Yeah.
reason.
Okay, I've got some let's see, we got a couple of questions here. Uh, what is the longest your husband's been deployed?
9 months.
Wow. And did you I
I know
mean,
you say, "Wow," but there are people
I
that
know they're
have
12.
so many,
Yeah, I
over
mean,
12.
the joke that we always had was that, like, we try to keep it under 12 months because they didn't wanna pay you extra. Um,
Yes.
so it
Sometimes
would be
they
like
make exceptions, they keep you for
yeah.
longer.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with my community is that you'd go somewhere and they would send you back somewhere else, TDY. So you'd be assigned to, like,
Yes.
Bahrain, TDY, and then you'd go
Mhm.
somewhere else. And so, yeah, that's like if
Yeah.
the military always gets a pound of flesh, man, right?
Mhm.
It's like a bank. Errors never work in your favor. Was that 9 months? Did you know that he was gonna be gone for 9 months, or was it like a 3-month that
No,
got extended?
no, yeah,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be he was meeting up with the unit, it was supposed to be 7. Things got spicy
Yeah.
overseas, and it extended to indefinite at first. So, I was
So it's a feeling.
he told me, I'm like, what do you mean indefinite?" And he's like, "Yeah,
He
I don't
means
know what that
indefinite.
means either." I mean
That's
indefinite,
right.
like, I don't know when I'm coming home.
Yeah.
That was fun. Was already, on the verge of a mental break, but that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. It is, uh, so, I mean, that's has that always been the case in that, his deployments, he didn't he ended up staying longer than initially anticipated? Is that mostly the case?
I don't wanna give military spouses who are, like, listening and still holding on
Oh,
hope
okay. We'll balance that.
hope.
Give him the truth, and then
He
we'll
could
make sure that
always
it's
come
balanced both ways.
they could always come home on time. They can, it is possible.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, it's definitely always happened that way. Also, we have, there's been two of our moves, we've, arrived and he's had to leave, like, immediately. So, that was always fun. You kind of don't really like consider that that can happen. Like, oh, we just got here. Well, guess what? We just got to smack in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, with 4 kids, and 3 weeks later he had to leave. So
Jeez. I mean, but
they do
that's,
what they want.
okay. So let's balance this because you're right. I don't want to scare some,
Yeah.
someone out here. It's an adventure too, right? I mean,
Absolutely. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't. And I really mean that, not because I'm literally on camera with Newsweek, but I wouldn't change it.
no, I mean, but like, let's talk a little bit about the adventure. Say some of the positives. What are the things that you have gotten to do being part of this community that are totally unique?
Well, I mean, I've gotten to see different regions of the United States. I know that there are other families that literally are, living it up over in Europe, popping from base to base over there. So you definitely have an adventure of the places you get to see, the things you get to experience, the people that I think the people is what gets me the most I've met some of my best friends in places that I didn't think I would have ever visited, or nor I would have ever wanted to go there. But it's allowed me to cross paths with some of my friends that I know I will have for the rest of my life. Um, you have a sense of pride. I'm absolutely very proud of my husband and his heart to serve, and that's the community you're running with, is a community that just sacrificially and selflessly serves, and you've got the family at home that is honestly doing the same for their loved one, selflessly and sacrificially serving and loving them. So, yeah.
And we talk about challenges for kids as well.
Yeah.
But there are advantages for them too, right? I mean, there are things that they get to see that
Mhm.
they grow up that I think most kids probably don't have. Can you talk about that?
I think I mean, it's the same, like, they're just up for an adventure. I mean, like, what kid gets to be told, when they're 9 years old, "Hey, we're gonna go live in Italy for a little bit. Is that okay? Is that cool with you? We're gonna travel Europe for, like, 2 years, and then, we'll see what's next."
Yeah.
I mean, they just get an absolute adventure. Um, they also, like, the transitions are difficult, but just like the spouses or the service members build bonds that are just so tight, so do the kids. We get creative. My kids got pen pals, you know? Yeah.
I mean, it is, again, I just, because we're about appreciating military spouses, I don't want to just say that it is undoubtedly hard.
Yeah.
But there's also, like you said, there's a pride that you all feel for what you do, right? I mean, and
Yeah,
it's not,
absolutely.
and there are, like you said, there are specific unique benefits. You live in a world that few people get to see. It's funny
Mhm.
because, I deal with this with military people all the time, and I'm like, what you do is amazing. But for you, it's just Tuesday. Like for the
Right.
average, just for the average people, I think that is something that for the average American, we're in New York City, right? The closest base is Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst.
Mhm.
Uh, most people in New York City have very little connect. I mean, it's maritime, SUNY Maritime, but they have very little connection to the military. So when you get
Mhm.
away from these bases, the connection to the military becomes smaller and smaller. And
It
so I think
does.
it's
Yep.
really hard for people to understand. I think it's important for people to see spouses like you
Mhm.
understand that it is first and foremost, it is absolutely a challenge. There's no doubt about it. But you
Mhm.
want to be where you are, right? It's a
Absolutely.
voluntary. Your husband
Yep.
volunteered. You want to be there. Um,
Mhm.
no one is making you do it. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean that we should invest in that. But it's
Right.
something you guys you're proud of accomplishing, right? It's an accomplishment.
It is. Yes. I agree.
All right.
It's a great.
While we're talking, I just want to anyone listening, if you have questions, just keep posting them in the chat. Crystal's going to send them to me. I'm going to read them. Let's see, what else do we have here? I know we're getting a lot of comments thanking you and saying how important military spouse appreciation day is. Hold on, let me see what else we have here. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Someone wants to know how you balance having 4 kids and a business life.
Well, it's like a little bit being on, like, a tightrope, and there's also a hurricane happening, and. Um, you know, uh, Actually, I would say that although it's hard to balance it, like there's
Yeah.
honestly in life, is there really any such thing as balance? I don't think
Yeah.
so. Like
That's a good point.
that's there isn't. But I do think that it has actually forced me to hold boundaries for my priorities. You know, like I am a mom first. You know, my kids do come first. Speaking of moves, my kids are having a rough time. So you know, it's been kind of like a dance between behind the scenes what's going on with the business and then attending, you know, to supporting my kids. Different seasons look different. There are some seasons where I can go hard on my business, you know, but that's what's great I think about you know, working for yourself is you control the gas pedal, you know, and the brake. Sometimes you need to take a break.
Yeah. Um, is there any advice that you have for a brand new military spouse?
Take a deep breath and it is all going to be okay. That's one. But truly, it would be a couple things. It would be to get into community before you need it. Uh, your branch, your service branch does have resources available to you. Use them. And you're not alone. You're not alone. They're really if you're I think that's what a lot of people like to hate on social media or the online world and stuff, but there is a lot of good that comes to it. And there are a lot of online communities and places where you can connect, especially when you are in the limbo, blowing in the wind to your next duty station. There are people out there, a whole community that does understand what you're going through. So yeah.
And I mean, what about again to going back to I think it's a question I asked at the top of this, but for someone who has no direct connection to the military, um, what what should we be doing and to like help support military spouses, to help support military families? Like, what would you want the average American to know that we should be investing in this? Like, what can DoD, what can your particular branch, what can they do better or more of to support
Mhm.
military families and military spouses?
Mhm. I think that gosh, that's a loaded question. I
Sure.
feel like no matter who you are, like in whatever capacity, you know, you work in, you serve in, I think just remembering and recognizing that like we are a group that does you know, like have operate with high levels of stress and strain all the time. I think just acknowledging from wherever you are in life, how you can think about us, how you could help, whether that be, I don't know, hiring, mental health services. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Just,
those are.
yeah.
I'll take it. I'll because I'm not a I can say this, but I think my personal opinion is that one of the biggest things that OSD and the DoD can do better is military spouse employment. Like that is such an important part of
Hmm.
listen, like work is dignity, work is freedom,
Yeah.
and it is when you're a military spouse, you are in a unique situation, even
Hmm.
though you don't take the oath of office or swear to uphold you're along for the ride. And I think that as such, this is my opinion, I think we have
Yeah.
all these bases, like we should do a better job, invest more to make sure that there are employment and even education. There's opportunities for military spouses because it
Yes.
is not the traditional employment track that you can keep, right? Because you're moving. And that makes so
It's
you're
interesting.
basically in many cases. I mean, look, there are people who are doctors, who are spouses, who are doctors, lawyers,
Hmm.
um, to just you know, to like you who are CEOs of your own company. Each one of you have a unique challenge. So this is again my opinion. I know I don't want to put you on the spot because I know but I do think that employment is so important.
Well, I am glad that you're bringing it up though, because I do believe that there is a false or a misconception about military spouses. Like, I mean, like I make memes online. There are plenty that go around that are
Yeah.
also joking about how maybe we don't want to work. No,
Yeah.
Trust me, that's not it.
Yeah.
Sometimes our life is just absolutely insane, and it does feel as though your hands are tied. Um, you gotta kinda work to get out of the bonds and
Mhm.
make it happen, but I think, yeah, the pathway could be much more simple with support from the DoD and, like, programs, anything to help, like you said, help us find employment, learn how to create our own employment. I mean, that would work remotely. I mean,
Yeah.
there are plenty of things that could be done that are not happening.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll give a shout out to Crystal, who's behind the scenes here, but Crystal, who works for us, the military spouse, she's phenomenal. And when we hired her, one of the key things is that the unique perspective. Honestly, I saw it as a positive, but
Mhm.
there are things the government can do, including like tax incentives for employers who hire military spouses.
Yeah.
Um, but you're absolutely right. I just think it is such a, you know, we all joke about the dependopotamuses, right? Like that's.
Yes. Yes.
I listen, I would be glad to be one day, but I think that this you're right. Like people want to work. I mean,
Right.
right? And people
Mhm.
have careers, and those. It's very hard to have a career when you're can't commit to being somewhere for a year or
It
two.
is, it's hard. I think it's just also recognizing though that there really are spouses out there that are doing it. We're
Yeah.
not all unemployed. And
No.
also the ones who are not all unemployed by choice.
Yes,
So,
that's a very good point too. I mean, it's a.
uh-huh.
You know, let me ask you that as a question. Just let's straight out. What is the perception of military spouses that drives you nuts the most? That is incorrect.
There's so many, just one? You just want one?
Oh yeah, you want us for the next 20 minutes? Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, no, there are so many. Well, I think the biggest one that really does bug the crap out of me is the dependent when it's used
It's like a
in a
slur.
poor,
Yeah,
yeah, like a slur, like if my husband wants to call me his little dependent, go for it. Like it's a
yeah,
joke. We're joking back and
sure.
forth because we both know, just like every other, couple knows that we are interdependent on each other.
Of
There
course.
is no way that he can properly do his job without my support and vice versa. There's no
Yeah.
way that I could do what I'm doing from home with 4 kids, like, without his support. So yeah, I think bugs the that absolutely bugs the crap out of me. That's the
Fair.
biggest one for sure. Yeah. I had one on the tip of my tongue and now I'm like, "What was I gonna say?" If it comes to me,
Is there
I'll
all
say it.
right, here's a funny question for you. Um, which military out of all the branches, which
Mhm.
military spouses are the most hardcore? Um, which one said which are like the
Everyone
yeah,
knows it's the Marines.
it's the Marines? What are they like? What are
Everyone knows
Marine
it's the
spouses like?
Marines. No, they're just like they're spouses. They're just
They're like
really
first burpees, then we'll
they're
talk.
yeah, yes, yes. 100%. They're the
I
most
made a
hardcore.
crayon
I got a lot of
casserole.
Marine spouse friends. I hope you enjoyed that shout out. That took a lot from me, Army.
You exchange recipes, and it's like Crayola casserole for them.
Oh my
Yeah, the
gosh.
jokes write themselves. We do have a question from a viewer.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you keep a good relationship with your husband? How do you handle the long distance? Well, first of all,
Hmm.
you don't have to keep a good relationship with your husband. I think it's the other way around. But go ahead. How do you want to?
Oh my gosh. Again, so many. But communication, like, and not just communication, like what's going on, because like sometimes he doesn't know what's going on either. So,
Yeah,
like there's a lot of like we don't know what's happening, so he can't, tell me or whatever. But communicating maybe like needs or communicating what is hard at the moment. And we do ask a lot of, well, how can I serve you, like, in this season, or how can I help you, or what do you need from me? um yeah, communication is definitely key, and I know that communicating when they're like on the opposite side of the world is difficult too. But I know that my husband and I, for like a long time, we do like weekly, like, marriage meetings where we literally have what are our top 5, like, issues right now that we can tackle together. You're on the they're your battle buddy,
yeah.
like, y'all are each other's ultimate battle buddies first and foremost. So you got to show up for each other. You're on the same team to win. So
I know Crystal didn't ask this, but I know she's thinking this. What happens when your husband gets back from a deployment and you want to send him back, like you have that moment. Is there an option? We always talk about keeping them, but can you actually help? No, I'm just kidding. But I think everyone has. Have you ever had that moment? You're like, God damn, he's back.
Reintegration is hard.
For
Like
sure.
it's like marriage too. You know, there's like a honeymoon phase, and then you're like, oh, stuff's getting real now. This is
Yeah.
this is getting a little hard. But I think it's very normal. Like if anyone who's listening who's worried about their first reintegration or whatever, like that is absolutely normal because you are like not only getting to know each other again, like like being in the same vicinity, but you've been doing things a certain way, your way, for a long period of time, and it is like someone coming back into, your life. I know before he came back from our first deployment, we actually talked about it before he even got back. We were like spitballing, like, what do you think's gonna bug you? What do you think's gonna bug you? What do you think's gonna be the problem? When do you we and also setting expectations. I know like when my husband was coming before he came back, I said, listen, I don't want you to have to jump right into like disciplining dad role. Like when you feel ready, do it. Until then, assume that I will continue to be that person, and I'll just take your cue on when to kind of pull it back a little bit and let you step forward.
Is there a period where like you have to get to know each other again?
Well, I think that I feel like with modern technology now, and again, I'm sorry, Navy families that, have to do underways with no service. I really am. But with communication now, it does make it less difficult than it probably was like a decade ago, or like, families from the 90s. It is difficult still, but it's not being able to have pretty steady communication while they're gone makes it a little easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is a weird thing, especially when I would go away, like, you can still, in some cases, you can talk to people all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is both good and bad, I think.
Right,
But
because sometimes things are happening at home, like
and
that's something
about them,
that
there's nothing you can do.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, I know that is something my husband has expressed before, that it's like, dang, like it's kind of hard is hard. His hard is very different from my hard, but we're
Yeah.
both going through a hard season together, and it's really hard for them to like know what's happening, and not really much you can do,
No, it's true.
so
It's true. I mean, in a lot of ways, I would, even like when I was telling Crystal, we go film. It's like, we're going out, and in a lot of cases, we all, it's kind of like being a little mini TDY or deployment, because
yeah,
not deployment, but you're
right,
in these
TDY.
facilities. We don't have access to phones and things like that. But the thing that I always found was like my life was easy in the sense that I was focused on one thing.
Yeah,
Like there was nothing else. Like kids,
yeah,
mortgage, like those things.
hmm
You just didn't. I don't mean like weren't responsible for them, but you kind of weren't during that
yeah.
period.
Yeah, I've definitely I know in real life a lot of spouses that are either dual military.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of close friends that are dual military, and they will say that it's at least them. Again, it's not. I'm not speaking for everybody, but
sure.
like our friends, they're like it's harder almost to be home because there are so many things, and like
Yeah,
it's not that like every single day is the same when you're deployed, but like I think that's probably part of the hard part is
it
like it's a
is.
mundane, like we're doing the same thing over and over again, and I can't leave and I can't do what I want, you know?
Yeah,
So yeah,
but
it's
you know what
it's
tomorrow's going
definitely
to bring?
different.
It's like a very
Right,
it's everything. Listen, life is hard no matter what you do.
right.
Um, but you're right. I mean, it is in a lot of ways. I miss it because it's like a much more simple thing to understand, because there's just a
Mhm.
lot less to. Not that it's easy, right? But
Right.
I think in being back here and taking care of life is a lot
Mhm.
harder. You
Yeah,
know,
lots of unpredictables.
That's very true. Well, all right. Well, we're running out of time. Ashley, really, really appreciate you. Thank you to you. I want to throw Crystal here, to all the military spouses. I'm personally grateful for everything you do. I hope that anyone watching this understands just what a tough job it is and how important it is to, no kidding, the national security of this country, that without a strong military spouse community, without supporting them, they can't
Mhm.
support the warfighter. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just literally as simple as that, right? And makes the
Mhm.
mission harder to accomplish. So thank you. I hope you have a night. I mean, are you planning anything special? What's the thing to do for Military Spouse Appreciation Day? Is it just a high five? Do you get like an MRE or
Um, yes, it was yeah, I told him whatever I wanted chili mac tonight for dinner, so he was
and the
pretty sure he
Skittles?
was
You
gonna
have to do the Skittles.
yeah, he was gonna secure that for us, so candlelit chili mac dinner,
Literally,
obviously.
I mean, what could be more romantic?
What more could I want?
Yeah. Before we break, tell people where they can find you.
So on Instagram, I am the Woman and Warrior, and you can find my business at womanandwarrior.com. Simple as that.
Perfect. Ashlee, thanks again. Everyone who joined in, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow Ashlee, and happy Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right,
Thank you for
bye,
having me.
everyone.
All right, bye.
Hold on one sec.